Hey, Matt, it's good to see you again here. The city says it is now going to have to rebalance its budget and find $109.5 million to eliminate from the budget. What kind of cuts do you expect to see?
Well, that's actually not accurate. The city manager proposed a budget that fully funds public safety, that left the property tax increase within the 3.5% that's allowed by state law. So my understanding is they're going to consider that base budget. Cutting the cut was not real because the spending was not real. The spending was based on taxpayers proactively approving a tax increase that was the largest property tax increase in city history. 109,000 Austinites voted no. We won 63-37, a sweeping taxpayer victory in the 13th largest city in the country. So, look, our city budget is 30 to 40% larger per capita than Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. The budget deficit was only $33 million. That was 2% of the general fund. Our mayor and our council were unable or unwilling to do that. They proposed a tax rate election and they lost badly. We hope they follow the model that the city of Houston undertook under longtime Democratic State Senator John Whitmire, who's now mayor of Houston, who put in place an efficiency audit, an outside efficiency audit that produced $120 million in suggested savings, which the city put into place and which helped Houston avoid a tax rate election this year. So it's time for them to get serious. Enough's enough. You're not going to make affordability better by raising taxes, and that's why 109,000 Austin voters voted no.
And just to make sure that I'm clear, the city was saying that they're going to have to rebalance the budget and cut this, but you say that's just not the case at all because the money wasn't there to start with, right?
Yeah, they were proposing a massive spending increase.
Yeah.
The math is the math. I'm sorry they don't have $110 million to spend. I know that's disappointing to some of them, but taxpayers in this city cannot afford to live here as it is, and we sure as hell can't deal with a 20% property tax increase forever, which is what they were proposing. Totally tone deaf, totally ridiculous. The broadest bipartisan coalition in the history of this city came together and fought this. You had the mayor and 9 out of 10 council members that supported it. Thankfully, a centrist Democratic council member named Mark Duchin courageously opposed it, and he is now leading the fight to try to utilize the Houston model. And I hope that's what they do.
City leaders said that Prop Q would improve the quality of life in Austin. Austin's still a liberal city, but why do you think that they rejected this 2-1?
Well, there's a real trust breakdown between taxpayers in the city. We've had so many embarrassing examples just in the last year. $10 million they wanted to spend on New York Art for the Airport, the ridiculous $1.1 million city logo that made us a national laughingstock. They wanted to get paid back for lunches, life coaches, art, furniture for their offices. The list goes on and on and on. All the waste at City Hall at a time when you have a budget deficit and when you're then going to ask taxpayers to pay more. Look, everyone recognizes affordability is the number one problem in Austin, period, full stop. Every poll shows that. You simply do not make affordability better by raising taxes. They could have tried to raise taxes $33 million to close the budget deficit. They didn't do that. They did 3.5x that. And they thought that the voters would approve it because generally voters do approve tax elections in Austin. This time, voters said enough's enough. It really is a watershed moment for our city. And it's time now for the mayor and the council to do their job, to instill fiscal responsibility, to make tough decisions, to fully support public safety, and to efficiently deliver city services.
Is there any talk about an independent audit to look at the budget to see if there are savings to be found in there?
I don't believe an internal audit done by the city would rebuild the trust that clearly isn't there between taxpayers and city leaders. I do believe we need an outside audit. That's what Houston did. They were able to get it done. Austin should do the same thing. And I hope city leaders choose to do it themselves. We're going to give them a little time to do that. But at some point, we're going to have to do it ourselves. And we certainly can do that. And we will do that if we must.
Do you expect the results of this election, though, solid 2-1 against raising taxes permanently by 20%? Do you expect this to force city council to do any soul searching?
I do. You would hope so. I should say it that way. You never know how people will react. The statements that were put out after this vote, a few of them were absolutely just as tone deaf as the things beforehand. Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes, in particular, specifically suggested that now we have to cut paramedics. No, the only reason we have to cut paramedics is if City Hall chooses to cut paramedics. The first thing you do if you're a serious city is you fully fund public safety. It is the primary responsibility of cities. So again, we hope that the majority of the council will see the light, will hear the message, will react appropriately, and will do their jobs. But we have other options. There'll be a charter election in May. We can be active there. And we have half the city council up next November. I expect to be very active there.
I do want to ask you about that. Well, let me just shift off and ask you that now. This election, clearly a success for Save Austin Now here. You said that bringing real change requires a lot more work by your organization. What is next for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're engaged in a lot of different battles at the city level, and some of them we're public on, and some of them we work on quietly and privately behind the scenes. Our first and most significant commitment to the city is to always fight for public safety. We need more police officers. We're going to support this charter amendment that the fire union has to require 4 per truck, their staffing minimum, which will be on the ballot in May, I believe, and which really needs to pass, and I think will pass. And then we're going to be very focused on the budget. Look, the budget's out of control. It's way too high per capita compared to Houston, Austin, and Dallas. Our taxpayers here are getting squeezed from every single entity. Travis County's raising taxes 9% this year because of the flooding. Right. Central Health is raising taxes. School districts are raising taxes. It's getting ridiculous. And if we want San Francisco, the San Francisco model to become the Austin model, where basically Austin becomes a playground for rich people, we could keep doing what we're doing. We're losing the essential qualities of our city by making it impossible for blue collar people, for people who work with their hands, for police officers and teachers to live in Austin. We can choose a better way, but we're only going to do that if we have that outside audit that finds efficiencies, that gets rid of duplication and fraud and waste, and we focus on delivering core services at a really high level, the way a world-class city should. Austin can be a world-class city, but we're going to have to make the choice that we're to move in that direction, and that's what Save Austin Now will continue to do.
Residents are not off the hook, though. City leaders say they'll still plan to raise taxes to 3.5%, the effective tax rate by 3.5%, which is what they can do without asking voters in an election. That's around $100 a year or so. Do you think that's justified in your opinion?
Good question. Look, I think city governments all across the country should do everything they can not to raise taxes. That said, state legislature allows them to do it up to 3.5% based on population growth and inflation. So we understand that they have the ability to do that. Again, this is about the trust deficit that's there. If they were doing the things they could to become more efficient, to stop wasting money, to end programs that are clearly not benefiting a large number of citizens, I think people would be more willing to accept perhaps higher taxes. But the city hasn't done that work. They just haven't, period, done that work. And so they have a chance now to do that work. They have time to do it. The budget's not due till the end of August. And so they're not going to have some massive amount of money, $110 million, to do all the things they wanted to do. Now they have to focus on doing the things that they have to do. And they should do those things well and efficiently and transparently. And if they do, again, our citizens pay high enough taxes already. All they want are efficient services delivered. And they want a safe city, a clean city. That's not too much to ask. Other cities have figured out how to do it. Miami, Nashville, Dallas, Phoenix. These are cities that have high standard of living. Austin can be that way too, but we cannot continue down the pathway of San Francisco, Los Angeles, which we were doing for very long. But this, again, was a wake-up call, and I do think the mayor and the council are going to hear the message. And if they don't hear this message, we'll send additional messages.
What message did voters send with the Prop Q results?
Yeah, I mean, the message was clear. It was, no, we're not going to proactively raise city property taxes 20% without you doing your job first. It was a very clear message. This was a taxpayer revolt. And these are pretty rare in Austin. Trust me, I've been here since 1984. But people have been pushed to the edge financially. Yeah. And so it was a huge wake-up call. I'm so proud of everyone that supported our effort. I'm proud of all the other efforts that were made. And there were other efforts made. Certainly, we had a broad bipartisan coalition. We had some courageous Democratic former officials and leaders who stepped up to communicate to Democratic voters that you don't have to support this tax increase. You can still be compassionate, care about people, and instill fiscal discipline in the city budget. So we're going to try to hold this coalition together going forward so we can get more good things done. And that's what we'll work on.
Matt, good to see you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.